why I still fall back to you.
What up, nerds? Today we're gonna do something a little bit different. I got the setup going here, I got the lights going, some GIFs on the wall, so hopefully you guys like it and it makes this a little bit more personal. Today I want to talk about Genshin Impact and things that we can change that aren't really buff related, that's a little bit more fundamental related. So I'm gonna try to run through this really quick and just kind of spew my ideas out there in a list, and then if you guys want to add anything or tell me that I'm completely wrong, that's okay too. Just leave it down in the bottom and then we can have a little bit of a conversation and maybe you can change my mind and we'll go from there. So the first thing I want to go over is going to be weapons. The things I think they should add to weapons is nothing too crazy. I think we should just add something that'll help a little bit with healing across the board for all weapons. It feels like if you're early or mid or very unlucky and don't spend a lot of money and you don't get some of the nicer healers, you might get stuck with either playing people that you don't want to play or having no healing options at all. So if we could just add a weapon that does some healing based off of you simply using your elemental skill and your elemental burst. The prototype Malice inspired this thought that I had, and we could just add that into the game. That gives you a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot, but it should at least be enough to kind of slowly nudge the health into the right direction, because at the moment, if you don't have a healer in, your health doesn't move. There's no base region in the game. So without the little bit of healing, especially if you don't have a healer going into combat, then you're just kind of beat, and it feels bad if you're just unlucky and that's the situation that you're in. The next thing I want to talk about is bows. With bows, I think all bow users should have an insta shot. Everyone should have one every 10 to 12 seconds. I think 12 seconds is perfectly fine. I think 15 seconds is a little harsh. And with Ganyu specifically, she can also have that. And still have her C6. Now, when it comes to character elements, I think it all plays together just fine. The only issue that I have is Geo, which is probably one of my favorite ones. I don't know why I'm always drawn to the Geo characters, but all of their kits play well with each other, but not with other people. They tend to want to be in its own group. Geo seems to be built around Geo and nothing else. The problem with that is that in the world now, especially with the addition of Dragonspine, it's like everything has an elemental shield, and the only one that they can break is Geo. They can do a little bit to ice for some weird reason, but past that, they can't do anything. It completely shuts down the comp. So with the Geo element, I think they should add either a set or something baseline that says, when you have a shield, if the enemy has a shield, a portion of your damage will hit the shield regardless of the element. Now, it doesn't have to be as strong as if you hit it with the proper element to knock it down faster. It could be much smaller, but at least it doesn't completely kill the comp. It's okay if I have to hack at a shield a little bit longer than someone who brought the appropriate character. That's perfectly fine. But to do 0 damage just really kills Geo as a whole. If that elemental resistance or that Geo resistance that's coming in 1.3 doesn't affect shields, we're in the same place. It looks like they're constantly adding enemies with shields, and that's perfectly fine, but can you give Geo a little bit of love so that they can survive together? Because it looks like that's the way you want them, and that's fine because I like the way it plays, but it just hurts so bad when you run into anything with an element, because then you're just screwed. Now, lastly, I want to get into the changes that I thought we could use on some of the characters. It's not all of the characters, so I'm gonna go over the ones that I felt like could use some changes, and then everyone else besides that is perfectly fine to me. They all play fine. There may be things that I don't like about them personally, but that doesn't mean that they're bad characters or they need any changing. That just means I don't like them. These are the ones where I go, okay, fundamentally has nothing to do with if I would even play them or not. This is what I feel like we could change, and it would make the characters feel so much better. So the first one I want to start with is Amber. I honestly think that she's not bad or as bad as a lot of people like to make her sound. I do think she is the pincushion of Genshin. Everyone wants to say that she is the worst character or the least amount of fun to play, I suppose, because damage again is in the question. She does damage. There's videos out there where you have to do a setup, but she does damage. She can support. The problem is that she's clunky, she's weird, and she doesn't play nearly as nice as some of the other characters. And to be honest with you, I mean, who would play her? Her hair looks disgusting. I honestly think that one of the biggest things you can do to change her that would be very simple to do is just put an aura around her, just like all the other taunting units in the game that can put something out, brings enemies into the middle and then does damage, or maybe even if it doesn't do damage, if it could just put the pyro element aura on the enemies that surround it, which means you can line other things up as well to do some AoE melts. That would be huge, to where it just gives her a little bit more interaction. I'm playing her on my free-to-play account right now, and I don't think she feels bad. I mean, you gotta set her up a different way, but if you like Amber, you can use her. I just think she's kind of the laughing stock, and at this point, unless she's completely reworked and they get rid of that nasty split in her hair for no reason, I don't know why they do that. And something about rat tails and splitting hair at the back, that MiHoYo loves that. They do that to all their characters. It's weird. I'm someone who really likes hair and the way hair looks, and it's just disgusting. She's the worst hair in the game. But I digress. Honestly, add an aura to Amber, to her E, and I think she's perfectly fine. If you don't like her, it is what it is. I mean, I get it. I don't even know if I would use her, but that's the thing that I saw that could make a change to her to make her a little bit unique, but kind of the same, to where as long as you like the character, you can bring her and you're not losing anything. The next person I want to talk about is Barbara. Now, Barbara's, the biggest issue with her is she's just boring. She's just boring. She's bland. And honestly, I feel bad because she's the stereotypical healer in the game. If you think of what a healer does, it's Barbara. I think what you should do is make it so that her auto attacks always heal. And it can be small. It can be a very small amount. Maybe you can scale off her HP, or it can be a flat percent. So let's talk about Lisa. Aside from her being a freak and me being weirded out every time she's on my screen, I like her character. I like the lightning element in itself. On just her auto attacks alone, she slides back, and it's the most irritating thing in the world. And I don't know why she has to do that. I don't think it's necessary. She shouldn't go backwards. And if you want her to go backwards, it shouldn't be that much. Like, the animation is just way too much. I feel like it puts me in worse situations to have her auto attack like that than it does to help me or to get away from enemies. I feel like that's the purpose of it, and it just doesn't really play like that. Jean is built so down to the T of her lore that it hurts. When I was putting together this video, I realized what it was about her that I didn't like. She looks amazing. She's a beautiful character model. She can pick enemies up into the air and drop them. She's a really fun character. There's just something about her that I couldn't stand. And now I'm realizing is that she makes everyone else around her kind of obsolete. She doesn't need anybody. She just kind of makes it feel like your entire party is useless. What I think they should do is take away the healing from her ult. Her ultimate shouldn't have the in and out thing. That should be gone. It should just be a ring around her that pulses wind. Since the Anemo element, usually their ultimates is some type of control, maybe she creates a dome that blocks damage from the outside coming in, and then makes it so that nothing can leave outside. So when you attack or you use her ability, it pushes them, but doesn't push them far away from you. They just hit the wall. And maybe that does damage as well. When you hit the wall, it does wind damage. And you can just single out certain enemies and just burst them down. I actually literally just thought about that on the fly. I think we should be more focused on her damage capabilities and her controlling, like I said about her ultimate, and less about her doing so much healing. So yeah, that's about it. That's my thoughts on the game and some of the elements that I think could use a little change here and there. Again, none of it was a buff. It has nothing to do with damage. It's about feeling better. It's about when you play it, you're like, okay, this is so nice to play. I'm gonna invest my resources into this character because it's so much fun, and that's where your damage is gonna come from. So thank you so much. I had a lot of fun making this video. Hopefully you guys like the setup, and I appreciate you guys so much, like always. Later.